My chosen Australian sport participant is Lassila, Olympic gold medalist in aerial skiing. I selected Lydia because of her achievements in the snow sports industry and her ability to promote the sport with an ongoing determination, which requires extreme athletic ability and focus. I believe she is a further inspiration due to the factors working against her in such an industry, both that of being Australian, which means entering a sport that has less facilities and geographically challenged for snow sports, as well as being a female in the male-dominated industry of skiing. The book I chose to draw the foundation of information from was Lydia Lassila's own, titled Jump, which was written with Andrew Clark, published in 2010. The sport delivery systems uncovered in this presentation explore how she was able to develop as a talented gymnast through club representation and would eventually end up in the world of aerial skiing. The diagrams I've created regarding sport delivery systems are relevant in two sports, being gymnastics and snow, to represent the different pathways both of these disciplines contribute in the athlete development transition from one to the other. Sport delivery systems are crucial in supporting and developing the teams, or in this case athletes, to provide development pathways and talent identification programs which assist the sport's growth. It's important to understand the sport delivery systems within a certain sport and to have knowledge of this development opportunities which are available to an athlete or individual through coaching. This broadcast will deliver an understanding of how Lydia's experience and opportunities in developing as a promising gymnast led to becoming an Australian Olympic winter athlete in aerial skiing. Firstly, we will have an overview of the gymnastic sport delivery system that Lydia experienced, as explained through a timeline in addition to her development through this sport. Lydia's first club was Footscray City, as she recalls in her autobiography, initially placed her in Level 4 junior gymnastics straight after an introductory assessment. By age 10, she progressed to Level 6 and was recognised by elite coaches from schools recruiting promising gymnasts into their elite programs. At the time, the only options were Cheltenham Private School or the AIS in Canberra, which provided a different of the national stream versus elite stream, which would give more opportunities and recognition as well as more training hours as opposed to national stream through club choices. Lydia was initially denied opportunity to attend an elite schooling due to family concerns of her upbringing until an opportunity arose at Methodist Ladies College where she was offered a scholarship and therefore would not have to move away from home. Following this, Lydia went on to achieve Victorian Championship completion from Level 7 through to Level 10, which was the highest level of achievement before competing at an international level. She also became the national champion for Levels 7 and 9. Here we have a current sport delivery system for competition gymnastics within Australia. This outlines the different progression levels in coordination with the requirements of age division and the representative titles with information extracted from the competitive framework and programs by Gymnastics Australia, which is available at gymnastics.org as of 2018. In contrast with current national competition structure, according to Women's Artistic Gymnastics program framework, Level 10 is still currently recognised as the pinnacle in competition. However, it was not spoken about in the autobiography of national or international opportunity of competition, but clearly equitable opportunity has developed in the past 2 decades. It is evident that through developing an all abilities pathways, as demonstrated here, the international competition transitions and developmental opportunities are now available as opportunities from Level 3 upwards to explore a range of opportunities, including transitioning to other sports or gym sports, such as Lydia eventually did. Following this diagram for the all abilities pathways, Women's Artistic Gymnastics also provides visual diagram explaining the structured competition levels developed with Gymnastics Australia. Sporting orgs are responsible for the delivery of gymnastics as organised in a hierarchical structure which can be seen here in lieu with Lydia's experience. The International Federation of Gymnastics acts as the overarching body responsible for enforcing and providing rules and regulatory guidelines. And below this, Gymnastics Australia regulates specific disciplines within gymnastics or gym sports, which women's artistic gymnastics falls under. WAG is the discipline that Lydia trained under, with specific clubs that she was involved in listed here below. Lydia explains that her opportunity to commit to aerial skiing came post-retirement of the sport of gymnastics. A new program developed to recruit Australian gymnasts and ex-gymnasts with potential to develop an aerials team that could represent Australia at the Winter Olympics in the future was brought to her attention. The delivery systems for aerial skiing establish a prerequisite knowledge and trained foundation of gymnastics or aerobics to progress as a potential aerialist hopeful. However, no prior background or experience of snow skiing is required or even recommended to be a part of this program. Therefore, we have the first year program devised by Gymnastics Australia, which explains a progressive learning of snow skiing and encourages familiarity with snow before incorporating the aerial discipline into the training program. This timetable, as well as Lydia's own recollections, explain the development pathway of pairing knowledge of snow skiing with eventually gymnastic and aerobic discipline to pair the two. Gymnastics Australia recognises talent pathway resources for a number of acrobatic type sports to assist in transitioning talents into other disciplines from a foundation of gymnastics. This FTEM framework was introduced in Shilbury et al. In our sports management textbook, however, was developed by the AIS and therefore supported by the ASO and represents and supports the sports pathway continuum. Each Olympic sport has their own FTEM framework, which accurately outlines the development pathway, such as seen here with the women's artistic gymnastics. According to Shilbury et al., importantly recognising that an athlete progression is not necessarily just a linear progression over time, and that there are different pathways which have the ability to provide different successful outcomes is seen here. This understanding significantly assists in the transition Lydia went through, crossing from a gymnastics background into aerials, and was recognised when she was scouted by a Rachel Johnson, who at the time worked closely with the Olympic Winter Institute as a gymnastics coach and an experienced ski instructor. At the time of Lydia's recognition, the OWI was looking to establish an aerial skiing development program, the first of its kind in the world, focusing on recruiting ex-gymnasts into a new program. It is through this T stage outlined here that recognises significant talent or potential that athletes like Lydia are chosen to consider opportunities of a new discipline, despite this being a completely new recruitment pathway at the time of Lydia's. Talent identification, as according to Shilbury et al. 2017, can occur in two common ways. In this case, it was a matter of an athlete being identified from outside a sport based on measured attributes indicating that they have the potential to succeed in another sport. It can be integrated into a sport system as a part of an athlete development pathway. Following talent identification, the sport delivery system for snow sports recognises progression from club or local level up to international and Olympic level competition through the support of national sporting organisations such as the SSA. Lydia's career in areas would have been supported by all of these levels below as she progressed to reach Olympic representative level, both at the Vancouver Winter Olympics winning gold and at Sochi in 2014 winning bronze. She speaks of her first major competition at the Mount Buller World Cup, where veterans of the sport compete alongside newcomers, all aiming to gain points and become Winter Olympic hopefuls. Here we have a diagram representing the snow sports organisation responsible for the delivery of the sport including aerials at hierarchical levels. Off to the side here we have the NSOs, which are partnered with the delivery of snow sport in Australia and oversee the governing of rules and regulations within this sport. To summarise, the author of the book in reflection obviously has an in-depth understanding of sport delivery systems, and in particular talent identification pathways within these two sports. I believe a lot of the language in the book was adapted for easier reading and to make for a more diverse audience. However, the delivery systems for Gymnastics Australia into the transitional pathway of aerial skiing had to be researched. Considering also that the author was the chosen athlete, Lydia was almost used as a trial for the transitional pathway for ex-gymnasts to transition into aerial skiing through an AIS initiative. The current programs and pathways that have developed since then have assumedly adapted. On reflection, studying sport delivery systems and pathways associated with the development in these sports, I understand the complexity of the levels within gymnastics and the grassroots competition to representative level pathways. I've also gained a knowledge of transitional talent pathways among the two sports and how the pathways into aerials requires a strong gym sports background. Overall, the development of Australia's aerial skiing competition potential through gym sport, utilising talent identification, provides another pathway for gymnasts to follow. It introduced a new discipline while still building on the fundamental pathway established with a background in gymnastics, and therefore gives athletes within this sector more opportunities to fulfil.